Hello, students. Welcome to the multiple choice questions of the short story, The Model Millionaire, which is written by Oscar Wilde. I'll not be reading the questions out loud, so you can write your option answers in your notebook. And after checking the answers, we are going to discuss each question in detail. Okay, you can start with question number 1. Okay, moving to question numbers 4, 5, and 6. I hope you have completed. Let's move to question 7. Moving to question 10. Moving to question 13. Next. Moving to the 19th question. Moving to question 22. Moving to question 25. Moving to question 28. Okay, so I hope you have completed all 30 questions. This is the answer key, so please check your answers and then we are going to discuss each question in detail. So you can pause the video and check your answers. So we'll start with the first question. Who is the protagonist of the story? So protagonist is the main person. So the entire story revolves around Hughie Erskine. So therefore he's the protagonist. Option B. What is the privilege of the rich, not the profession of the employed? So that answer is in the second line. Romance is the privilege of the rich, not the profession of the unemployed. What were the great truths of modern life that Hughie never understood? So the answer starts from the very first line of the story. Unless one is wealthy, there is no use in being a charming fellow. So that I've written as option A. Next, the poor should be practical and prosaic. So prosaic meaning is unromantic. So that is also mentioned in option B. The next one, it is better to have a permanent income than to be fascinating. These are the great truths of modern life which Hughie Erskine never realized. So the answer is all of the above because all option A, B and C is mentioned. Okay, what all professions had Hughie tried? Okay, so that is also in the first paragraph itself. He had tried everything. He had gone on the stock exchange for 6 months. He had been a tea merchant for a little longer. Then he had tried selling dry sherry. Okay, so stock market, tea merchant, and sold dry sherry. So that answer is option B. What did Hughie's father bequeath him with? That answer is also in the first paragraph before this answer. His father had bequeathed him his cavalry sword and a history of the Peninsular War in 15 volumes. So option B is the answer. Who was Hughie in love with? So that answer is in the second paragraph. To make matters worse, he was in love. The girl he loved was Laura Merton, the daughter of a retired colonel. So I have added Sarah Merton as just a confusing option. So answer is Laura Merton. What did the retired colonel lose in India? So is right after that. Who had lost his temper and his digestion in India? So the answer is both B and C. So answer is D. What condition did the colonel put in order for Hughie to marry his daughter? So that is in the last paragraph of page number 88. Come to me, my boy, when you have got 10,000 pounds of your own. Who lived in Holland Park? So that answers in the next page. One morning, as he was on his way to Holland Park, where the Mertons lived. So answer is C, the Mertons. What is the profession of Alan Trevor? So it's right after that. Trevor was a painter, but he was also an artist, and artists are rather rare. So he is not a painter of buildings. Okay, he is an artist. So option A. Who was a strange, rough fellow with a freckled face and red, ragged beard. Personally, he was a strange, rough fellow with a freckled face and a red, ragged beard. So they're talking about Alan Trevor, the artist. So the answer is C. Who are the only people that a painter should know? So that same paragraph, fifth line, the only people a painter should know, he used to say, are people who are beautiful. Okay, so that is option A. People who are an artistic pleasure to look at. So that is option B. And intellectual repose to talk to. So intellectual repose to talk to. So answer is all of the above. When Hughie came, what did he find Trevor doing? So that is in the next paragraph. When Hughie came in, he found Trevor putting the finishing touches to a wonderful life-size picture of a beggar man. So that is option A. What was the beggar doing when Hughie went into the studio? The very next line. The beggar himself was standing on a raised platform in a corner of the studio. So, option B. What was the expression of the beggar? So, he was a wizened old man. Wizened means a person who has wrinkles on his face. It's called wizened. With a face like a wrinkled parchment and a most piteous expression. So, he had a piteous expression. So, the answer is C. What did Hughie say when he saw the model in the studio? So, the very next paragraph, what an amazing model, whispered Hughie as he shook hands with his friend. So, he had said, what an amazing model, option B. How much money does Alan get for making each picture? So, when Hughie asked Alan, he said, oh, for this I get 2,000. So, he asked pounds. So, he says guineas. So, the answer is 2,000 guineas, which is option D. How much does a model get for sitting their portraits done? So, how much does a model get for sitting? Asked Hughie as he found himself a comfortable seat on a divan. A shilling an hour. So, it is a shilling an hour, option A. Why did Trevor have to go out in between his painting? In the middle of the page, after some time, the servant came in and told Trevor that the frame maker wanted to speak to him. So the answer is option D. Why did Hughie pity the beggar? So it is in the third line of the next paragraph. He looked so forlorn and wretched that Hughie could not help pitying him. So, because he looked forlorn and wretched, option D. How did Hughie try to help the beggar? And felt in his pockets to see what money he had. All he could find was a sovereign and some coppers. And slipped the sovereign into the beggar's hand. So he gave him a sovereign. Though he had a sovereign and copper coins in his pocket, he gave a sovereign. So option A is I've added just to confuse you. Okay, so I hope that is clear. How did Hughie want to help the beggar further? That answer is in page number 91. Poor old wretch. I wish I could do something for him. I think it is dreadful that anyone should be so miserable. I have got heaps of old clothes at home. Do you think he would care for any of them? So he offered to give him old clothes that was lying at home. Option B. What did Trevor say? What you call dash, I call romance. What seems dash to you, it's picturesqueness to me. So that is in the very next paragraph. What you call rags, I call romance. What seems poverty to you is picturesqueness to me. The first answer is rags and the second blank is poverty. So option C. What information about the old beggar shocked Trevor? So he says, my dear boy, said Trevor smiling, that old beggar, as you call him, is one of the richest men in Europe. He could buy all of London tomorrow without overdrawing his account, and he has a house in every capital. He dines off gold plate and can prevent Russia going into war when he chooses. So, answer is all of the above. What was Hughie's reaction when he came to know the beggar was Baron Horsburgh? So obviously, what on earth do you mean? Exclaimed Hughie. So he was shocked. Then he says, good heavens, I gave him a sovereign, and he sank into an armchair, the picture of dismay. So he felt embarrassed. Even below he says, right, I think you might have told me, Alan, said Hughie sulkily, and not have let me make such a fool of myself. And the point of being unhappy is written in the next page. However, Hughie wouldn't stop but walked home feeling very unhappy and leaving Alan Trevor in fits of laughter. So he felt unhappy also. So the answer is all of the above. Why was Monsieur Gustave Norden sent on behalf of Baron Horsburgh? So he had brought in a letter and extended a sealed envelope. in that it was written, a wedding present to Hugh Erskine and Laura Merton from an old beggar. So it was a wedding present. Option C. What was the gift that Baron Horsburgh gave Hughie? And inside was a check for £10,000. So it was a check for £10,000. Option A. Who was the best man during the wedding? So it is in the second last paragraph of page 93. When they were married, Alan Trevor was the best man. So option B. What did Alan say during the wedding? That is the last line of this story. Millionaire models, remarked Alan, are rare enough, but by Jove, model millionaires are rarer still. So that is option A. Which of this is not the theme of the story? Appearances can be deceptive. Yes, it is the theme because the richest man was dressed like a beggar. Option B is not the theme of the story, that a poor boy cannot fall in love with a rich girl. Yes, of course, a poor boy can fall in love with a rich girl. See, it talks about generosity, compassion, and altruistic nature. Yes, because even if Hughie Erskine had very little money, he was very generous and he felt compassion towards the beggar and he gave him the money that he had. And D, the importance of money and wealth in the society. Yes, it talks about that. That is why in the beginning, if you remember, romance is the privilege of the rich and not the poor. It says. So they're talking about how important money and wealth is in the society because the colonel did not allow his daughter to marry unless he had some money with him. So I hope you enjoy doing these multiple choice questions as much as I enjoyed preparing them for you. Please subscribe if you haven't, and all the very best. Study well. Until we meet next time with another video, take care of yourselves. God bless you.